Welcome to All Things Simplified, the podcast where we dive into the digital world of all things. I'm your host, Warlock Weary. Joining me is our expert guests, Artificial Intelligence, Stephen, and Artificial Intelligence, Chloe, who has a wealth of knowledge about all things in this digital world. If you have suggestions for our podcasters, let us know in the comments below. Today, we are talking about artificial intelligence. Now, let's get started with our guests.
Okay, let's kick things off. Today we're doing a deep dive into a really significant update for a piece of software many Hubitat users rely on, the Light Security Monitor, LSM. This is version 22.0.1.
Yeah, and significant is the right word. The sources aren't just calling it an update, they're calling it a major reset. It's a big one.
Definitely. And what makes this particularly interesting, I think, is who or what was involved in building it.
Right. The release notes actually credit the core logic to this, collaboration. Claude AI, then the original developer Warlock Weary, plus ChatGPT and Grok.
That is pretty wild. You've got the human developer working alongside, 3 different major AI models?
Exactly. It really points to this growing trend, especially for complex stuff like home automation, this idea of AI-assisted development.
So our mission today is to unpack all of this, the official notes, the community chatter, and really pull out what you need to know. We want to give you the shortcut to understanding the key fixes, the new features, and why V22 is being called rock solid.
And it seems a lot of that rock solid status comes from tackling problems head on. Things like, information overload in the interface and those persistent instability issues that can make home automation frustrating sometimes. They really use this AI-assisted approach to hunt down the tricky bugs.
Making it more stable, more reliable. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So let's start with probably the most important operational detail, the big warning sign, if you will. V22 22.1 demands a clean install.
Yeah, there's no getting around it this time, no simple update path. If you're using an older version, the guidance is crystal clear. You have to completely uninstall it first.
And that means using the Hubitat Package Manager, HPM.
Correct. Go into HPM, find the existing LSM package, and choose the uninstall option. You need to remove everything, the app code, the child devices, the whole shebang. Otherwise, you're just asking for trouble, like code conflicts destabilizing things.
Now, mandating a clean install, that's a big ask for users, right? Especially if they have complex setups. Did the sources give any insight into why they couldn't offer, a settings migration?
It really seems like the underlying changes were just too fundamental. They essentially rebuilt the architecture, particularly around data storage and how the child devices work. Trying to patch the old version would have just carried forward the old problems.
So it's a rip the Band-Aid off situation for long-term gain?
Pretty much. The pain of the reinstall is meant to guarantee that stability down the road. It's a foundation reset.
Okay, I get the logic. But if the uninstall is the medicine, is there any sugarcoating? Does the new install process make up for it?
Absolutely. That's the flip side. The installation itself is way easier now. It's all handled through HPM.
So just search and install.
Yeah, pretty much. You go into HPM, hit install, choose search by keywords, type in Warlock Weary, find Light Security Monitor in the list, check the box, and hit next. Done. No more messing with manual code imports or multiple files.
That is much better. And once it's installed, they've apparently tackled that feeling of being overwhelmed by setup options.
Huge improvement there. They've introduced a guided, multi-page wizard-style setup.
Ah, okay. Like a step-by-step guide.
Exactly. It breaks down the configuration into 6 manageable steps, plus a final summary page that shows everything you've configured.
That sounds much less intimidating.
And they built in some smart features, too. Like, if you need to run the wizard again later, maybe to change a setting, it pre-populates your existing choices so you're not starting from zero.
Oh, that's thoughtful.
Yeah, and once you finish the setup, there's a toggle that automatically turns the wizard off so you don't accidentally get stuck in a configuration loop later.
Smart. I also noticed something about the instance name being protected now.
Yes, that's a good subtle change. Once you set the name for your LSM instance during that initial wizard run, it gets hidden and locked. It prevents accidental changes that could, break dashboard links or other integrations. Protects the app's identity on the hub.
And visually, is it easier on the eyes?
Definitely. There's a much more unified look and feel now. Consistent horizontal separators, bold headers for sections, and page titles that actually work well on mobile screens.
Ah, good. 2-lane titles.
Yeah, exactly. They use this very clear format, like Light Security Monitor on one line and maybe current settings in the next, so you always know precisely where you are within the app's pages. It feels much more polished. So connecting this cleaner UI and setup back to the bigger picture, you can see the main thrust of V22 was really about stability, taking what was maybe an ambitious app and making it genuinely reliable.
Which, for something monitoring security devices, is paramount, right? Stability isn't a nice to have, it's the whole point.
Absolutely. So the question is, what were the core instability problems they managed to squash?
Well, the release notes highlight data integrity and state preservation. That sounds pretty fundamental. One big one was fixing the bug where changing settings could wipe your daily logs.
Ugh, yes. That was apparently a major pain point. Imagine tweaking a notification time and poof, your entire day's activity log vanishes because the initialize function wasn't careful enough.
Yeah, that would be incredibly frustrating if you're trying to track security events.
So that's fixed. Your historical data is safe now, even with configuration changes. They also specifically called out fixing the daily reset of cron issue.
Okay, cron. For folks maybe not deep in the tech weeds, what does that mean here?
Think of cron like the hub's built-in alarm clock or scheduler. It's the mechanism that tells the app, okay, it's midnight, time to archive yesterday's logs and start fresh for today.
Gotcha. And the problem was...
It wasn't always running reliably or cleanly. Sometimes it might trigger at the wrong time or maybe not complete properly, leading to inaccurate or incomplete daily reports.
Yeah.
Now it's designed to only clear the logs at the scheduled time or if you explicitly hit the manual reset button. Much cleaner.
Which means your daily reports should actually reflect a true 24-hour period. Essential for auditing, yeah.
Exactly.
What about surviving updates? We've all been there, run an HPM update, and suddenly you have duplicate devices or broken dashboard tiles.
They tackled that too. The notes say child devices should now survive HPM updates without duplicating. And, crucially, your dashboard tiles should maintain their connection to the app, even if you have to rerun that setup wizard for some reason.
Okay, that saves a lot of post-update cleanup. That's welcome news.
And part of that resilience comes from changing how child devices are named internally. They now use a stable name prefix instead of the potentially changeable app.id, just more robust overall.
Now, you mentioned earlier that AI might have helped with tricky bugs. The notes talk about fixing race conditions, specifically with blinking lights. Can you unpack what a race condition is? They sound subtle.
They are notoriously subtle, and yet this is where AI pattern recognition could really shine. A race condition happens when two different parts of the code try to change the same thing at almost the exact same millisecond.
Like two cars trying to merge into the same lane at the same time?
Perfect analogy. If they arrive in the wrong order, or interfere with each other, the result is unpredictable. Maybe the light gets stuck blinking. Maybe a notification doesn't fire. It depends on precise timing, which makes these bugs incredibly hard for humans to reproduce and fix consistently.
So how did they solve the blinking race condition?
They introduced a specific control variable, basically a little flag in the code called state.blinkingStopped. This acts like a traffic cop, ensuring the start blinking command and the stop blinking command don't execute in a way that confuses the system.
Okay.
Getting these kinds of timing issues right, along with the state preservation stuff, is what elevates an app from being merely functional to being truly dependable. And it sounds like the AI assistance was key here.
Okay, let's shift gears to the features themselves. What does LSM V22 actually do better in terms of monitoring? The tagline is rock-solid device monitoring across locks and contact sensors.
And secure alert, cutter-like control, yeah. A big focus seems to be on clarity, knowing instantly what's going on. Well, for one, they've added device-type prefixes everywhere. So in your status lists or notifications, you'll now see contact, or low CK, or IT, right before the device name.
So no more guessing if backdoor refers to the lock or the contact sensor.
Exactly, just immediate context. And the main status summary page is cleaner too. It shows the short name you probably recognize, but it keeps the original Hubitat device name visible underneath, kind of for reference.
That's handy for troubleshooting.
Plus, the summary has, like, better visual hierarchy and includes that little eye emoji as a monitoring icon, just easier to scan.
What about customizing the alerts, especially the lights?
More control there, too. They added a toggle for the blink method. Some lights respond better to rapid on-off commands. Others have a dedicated flash command.
Right, depending on the bulb or switch brand and protocol.
Yeah. So now the app actually detects what the device supports and uses the best method automatically. But you can see which method it shows in the status summary, which is nice transparency.
Okay, and this next one seems vital for a lot of users, especially those with Z-Wave gear. Sensor chatter, that flood of duplicate open-close events you sometimes get.
Oh yeah, the Z-Wave bounce. that can really mess up automations and logging. V22 tackles this with improved debouncing.
Debouncing. That's basically telling the system to ignore duplicate signals if they happen too close together.
Precisely. It filters out that rapid-fire noise. And based on testing, they've significantly tightened the default debounce time down to just 1 second.
1 second, that sounds pretty quick.
It is, but it reflects confidence in filtering out just the erroneous chatter without missing genuine quick open-close events. And interestingly, they also restricted the range you can set it to.
How so?
It used to allow settings from 0 all the way up to 120 seconds, which is frankly way too long. Now the maximum you can set is 10 seconds.
Okay, so they went from a 2-minute potential delay down to just 10 seconds max. That's a statement.
It really is. It's basically the developer saying, look, the 1 second default is likely correct. We'll let you adjust it a little, but we're preventing you from setting a value so high that it might actually ignore real security events or just make the system sluggish. It's a safer range.
That makes sense. Good design choice, guiding the user away from potential problems. And I see time restrictions are now supported.
Yep, you can now apply time windows to several key functions. You can limit the secure and alert color light control, like only make the lights flash red between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m.
Useful.
And also, for repeatable notifications, maybe you only want repeat alerts during certain hours, and even for the daily reports, more granular control based on time of day.
Now, this part sounds really interesting, maybe even the killer feature for data nerds, the reporting. You get daily reports, secure percentages, activity counts. But how do you see all this easily?
This is where the new dashboard integration really shines. When you install LSM V22, it automatically creates 3 child devices, specifically for dashboard use.
Okay, what are they?
You get the standard LSM tile devices. These give you the basic secure or unsecure status tile most people are used to. You also get an LSM report button device, which is just a simple virtual button you can put on a dashboard to manually trigger sending the report to your phone anytime.
Right, okay. Useful basics. But the third one?
The third one is the star. The LSM EZ tile device. This thing is implemented as a Hubitat multi-sensor device type, and it exposes 11 different data attributes you can display.
11. Wow. Okay, let's get into the weeds. What kind of data are we talking about? Give me some examples.
Okay, so you can obviously get the main house status, just the words secure or unsecure, simple enough.
Standard.
But then you can pull house secure percent and gives you a hard number, like say 53%, showing exactly what percentage of the day your monitored devices were the desired secure state.
Whoa, okay, that's new. That's an objective metric for how well you're actually securing things throughout the day. Before, you just kind of guessed.
Exactly. And it gets even more granular. There's total activity today. This doesn't just give you a count, it gives you count and duration.
Like what?
Like it might display 18 by 11 OTSO 14 meters 32s, meaning there were 18 activity events today across all monitored sensors, and the total time any sensor was active or insecure adds up to over 11 hours.
That's incredible detail, usually buried pages deep in logs, if it's even calculated at all.
Right. And for the current state, if something is wrong, you get open device totals. Maybe it just says 3.
Okay, tells me there's a problem, but not where.
But that's where the multi-sensor type shines. You can choose another attribute, like current contacts open, and that attribute will list the actual names of the open contact sensors.
So instead of just knowing 3 things are open, the tile itself could read garage 1, garage 2, backdoor sensor.
Precisely. Or current locks unlocked, listing the unlocked locks.
Got it.
It puts the actionable detail right there on your dashboard. No more hunting through logs to figure out what is unsecure. That's the real aha data.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. Summarizing our deep dive on LSM V22.0.1, we've seen really 3 big themes. First, a focus on the user experience, even with that necessary clean install, balanced by the easier HPM install and that guided wizard.
Right. Second, a massive push for core stability, fixing those nasty state preservation bugs, the scheduler issues, and those tricky race conditions, likely with a big assist from AI.
And third, this really powerful granular data reporting, primarily through that new easy tile device with its, 11 different metrics you can pull?
Yep, 11 distinct attributes giving you insights like secure percentage, activity duration, and specific open device lists.
So thinking about that AI involvement again, Claude, ChatGPT, Grok, all working with the human developer, what does this mean going forward, do you think? They explicitly use these tools to debug and stabilize the app, hating those really complex problems like race conditions and state management.
It feels like a potential glimpse of the future for complex software development, especially in areas where reliability is absolutely critical, like home security. They essentially leveraged AI to tackle some of the most time-consuming and frustrating parts of coding, finding those intermittent, hard-to-pin-down bugs.
Outsourcing the really thorny debugging tasks.
Kind of, yeah. And if this AI-assisted model proves successful and repeatable, what does that imply? Could it mean that future consumer software, particularly in demanding fields like home automation, becomes significantly more stable right from the initial release?
Because the AI helps iron out the deep bugs before it even gets to users?
Potentially. It frees up the human developers to focus more on the features, the user interface, the overall experience, knowing that the underlying engine is being rigorously tested and refined by AI tools specifically good at spotting those subtle flaws.
So, the provocative thought to leave you with is this. Are we entering an era where AI doesn't just write code, but acts as a crucial partner in ensuring the fundamental reliability of the software that runs our homes, our security, maybe even more critical systems down the line? Definitely gives you something to mull over.
Indeed, a collaborative future for code.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.